Good afternoon, and welcome to BSM TV. We welcome you once again to the second part of the session of the day for the Sabbath day. We had a wonderful message this morning, and God has yet given us another opportunity to pry into the scriptures. You know, the reason why He continuously shower all these messages on us is that we may prepare for a spiritual harvest that is soon about to occur. So let's embrace all these moments and let's embrace all these opportunities and avail ourselves of the spiritual enlightenment that we need in these last days of peril. Right, as our topic already suggests, it says, amend your ways. Or, in other words, how I might put it is, how does backsliding? Okay, so we're going to be striking in between these two topics. It says, amend your ways, or in other words, how does backsliding? Okay, right. So our first reading is found on Patriarchs and Prophets, page 717. PP 717. That's our opening quotation. That's where it's coming from. What does it say?
The Bible has little to say in praise of men.
Have you ever seen that? If you read through the scriptures from the beginning unto the end, except for when it talks about Christ, it has got less praises of men. No matter how wonderful things that they have accomplished, it doesn't say as much of the things that they have done. Why? Let's move on.
Little space is given to recounting the virtues of even the best men who ever lived.
Isn't that a fact? It's a fact. Because if you go through, you'll see that even the greatest men who have ever lived, there is a little account of the virtues that they have done or that they possessed, right?
This silence is not without purpose.
Now listen to this. The silence of God, of not mentioning the good things or the good virtues that these great men possessed, is not without a purpose or a lesson. There's a reason behind it. So, like I've already said, that's our agenda this afternoon. We're going to find out why does God decide not to mention the good things that men do. And all He does is just pointing on the errors of anyone who exists in this earth. All right, let's find out.
This silence is not without purpose.
Right.
It is not without a lesson. All the good qualities that man possess are the gift of God.
Right.
Their good deeds are performed by the grace of God through Christ. Since they all owe to God, the glory of whatever they are or do belongs to Him alone.
Right.
They are but instruments in His hands.
Did you hear this? It says, all the good qualities that men possess are the gift of God. So, all the active virtues that they had, the good characteristics that they possessed, it all belongs to God. That's why He doesn't talk about them. But when it comes to the opposite of it, which are sinful practices, those, they belong to man. They belong to mankind. That's why God has to mention them, calling spade a spade. Right. Let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 11.
Verse 11.
Why is God telling you and me to amend our ways? How does the process of backsliding, we want to find out. Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 11.
Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil.
Did you hear this? Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily. Instead, for a sentence not to be executed speedily on the offender, in other words, or on the flip side, it actually strengthens the hearts of men to fully commit evil. This is what God is saying. Because sentence against an evil work, let's read it one more time. Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore, did you hear? There's a therefore right after the comma. It says, therefore, the heart of the sons of men, is fully set in them to do evil. What a verse. What a verse. Why is God telling us this? He's telling us this because he's beholding the actions of the sons of men. And all he says that while he's trying to bear with our iniquities, our transgressions, we're actually becoming worse. In actual fact, we're becoming worse. Our hearts are becoming more even hardened to resist his imploring spirit, which is always wooing us unto heaven. Right, let's find an explanation for this. On 2SC 1, 3.4. What does it say?
Most of our people are so deeply asleep.
Right, listen to this. Most of our people, what people are we talking about? People who are waiting for the soon coming of Christ.
Yeah.
People who are preparing for the kingdom of Christ. People who are proclaiming this message of the branch. People who are proclaiming the feasts. We're not talking about somebody, anyone else who's outside. No. We're talking about the people who are right with us at this moment. Yeah. Right? So most of our people now, this is what frightens me. When you say most, what do you mean to say we're talking of a greater margin? Most of our people are so deeply asleep. If it was just like a light sleep, then yeah, I was going to, kind of give it an understanding to say, okay, it's a light sleep. If anything comes, they are easily woken up. But that's not the case. God is saying they are so deeply asleep, right?
Most of our people are so deeply asleep,
right,
and so greatly stupefied,
right,
that it seems there is nothing that can fully awaken them.
Did you hear this? So greatly stupefied that it seems that there is nothing that can fully awaken them. A message can be preached on the pulpit, a message that comes directly from God to awaken them. They're never awake. So we want to find out, why is this case existing among us as a people, right?
They study the message and admit it to be the truth for this time.
Messages are preached. They study the feast. They study the Levitical law. They study the ministration of Christ in the Holy Sanctuary. They study, all the important aspects of our message. We know them. You know them. I know them. People know them. We are availed, we are well informed when it comes to these things. But what happens? They study.
They study the message and admit it to be the truth for this time.
Right.
Rejoice in it and speak it to others.
We rejoice in it. We preach it to others. Isn't it what we do, brethren? Isn't it what we do? What we do. We rejoice in the message, basking in the rays of light. We're enjoying every moment, every aspect of this message, and even preach it even to others, right?
We rejoice in it and speak it to others, but they do not catch on the points which reprove their own personal sins and carelessness.
Did you hear this now? This is where God has got a massive, massive, massive controversy with these people. We preach the message to others. We are rejoicing in the message. We are enjoying the feast. On a new moon, we are not at work. On a Sabbath day, we are here. On the feast of Pentecost, of Tabernacles, and of Passover, we are in Jerusalem. But God has got a big controversy with these people because we do not catch on the points which reprove our own personal sins and carelessness. Right?
By which they break both the moral and the physical laws of God.
Do you see now where the slumber or where the sleepiness is coming in?
Yeah.
Rather, I would say the stupidity. Because God is saying, we are holding a message that will save the world. But at the same time, while we're holding it, we are so stupid. That's why he's saying we're so stupefied. We are so stupid to the extent that when the message is being preached, which touches on our carelessness and personal sins, we do not even realize that God is calling for a reform from us as a people. Right? Let's go on to the next one.
The work of the enemy is not abrupt.
Right. Now listen to this. When Satan is working, he has already seen that, okay, these people, they're proclaiming the last message of mercy. They're holding on to a message that is to save the world. So what he does is, his work when he's attacking us as individuals or as a whole, or us as a whole, his work is not abrupt.
It is not at the outset. sudden and startling.
Do you hear this? When Satan is attacking people who are so much elevated on the platform of truth, he doesn't just abruptly attack them, or even at the outset, just sudden and startling, so that everyone will be like, what happened to them? It doesn't work like that. What does he do?
It is a secret undermining of the strongholds of principle.
It is the secret undermining of the stronghold of principle. All right. I'll try to explain this in more simpler terms. What does it mean? The feast will keep them. Sabbath day we're there. New moon we're there. Every other doctrinal messages, we understand them fully. Right. But there are personal sins that we harbor. Personal inclinations to evil that we cherish in our hearts. Whereby, when God comes with a message of reproof, and He tells you, He tells me, right, that you need to discard yourself from this. You need to detach yourself completely from this particular act. What do? We cherish it secretly. Do you hear? It can be hidden from the sight of man. It can be something you cherish because it's your idol. It can be something you don't want to detach yourself from because you love it despite God telling you to leave it. Do you hear? So now we are being told that this is the wisdom of God. The work of the enemy is not abrupt. He's very clever. He has got more than 6,000 years of experience. He's very clever. He has been doing this for years. Right? So his work is not abrupt. He knows when it comes to doctrinal stuff, he has got nothing to say to you. He has got nothing that he can do to make sure that he lures you to stray from the message. No, he knows that. But he starts with the secret undermining of the stronghold of principle. Do you hear? Right?
It begins in apparently small things.
It begins in apparently very, very, very small, insignificant things. Very small things. It's not big things, no? Very small things.
The neglect to be true to God and to rely upon Him wholly.
Do you hear this? The neglect to be true to God. I'll give you a very perfect example. Maybe the scriptures have got something that they're forbidding, that you are engaging in. Someone is inspired by God to come and present the message. The message strikes exactly to where the idol is. For one moment, probably, during the course of the presentation, your heart is struck and you're convicted to say, you know what, I've offended God. But because that is your idol, or because you really love or you really cherish this thing that God is telling you to stop, you don't stop. For a moment, yes, your conscience is seared. You think of, you ponder on the message, you'll be like, okay, God is telling me this. God is talking to me like this. But the moment you realize that, you know what, after all, it's not even that much of an offense. You're now secretly undermining the strongholds of principle. That's when backsliding starts. So this is the process. This is the process. That's what God is saying when He's looking at all of us as a whole. People who are proclaiming this message of mercy, this message that is supposed to save the world. He's saying, I want you to amend your ways because, of course, you're proclaiming my message. But He's not happy because there's secret sins being cherished among us as a people. Do you hear? So it begins in apparently very, very, very small things. The neglect to be true. Go on.
The neglect to be true to God and to rely upon Him wholly. The disposition to follow the customs and practices of the world.
Right?
Most of our people are sick because they have not as yet learned how to live.
Do you hear this? We're now on 3.6. Most of our people, they are sick. Be it spiritually sick, be it physically sick. They are sick because they have not as yet learned how to live. How do we live? When God is saying we have not yet learned how to live, He's talking about living a way when we've amended our ways so that we are perfect before Him. Not perfect, but people who are struggling or striving to overcome these defects into righteousness. Right?
Correct your habits.
Correct your habits. Do you hear? Right. The statement started saying, Most of our people are sick because they've not as yet learned how to live. Then it goes on to say, you need to correct your
habits.
What are the habits? You know, some people have got a very, very, very nasty habit of saying, if a message is presented, that they know that this message is clearly for them, they fight it, or they start saying, you know, all they do is preaching about people who has mentioned their evils, who has mentioned their sins, who has talked about them. God is saying you need to correct that habit. The habit of saying when a message is being presented, or a message has been presented to help you as a person to become a better person, you need to correct the habit of taking it or shoving it to somebody else, or taking it and saying it's pointing to somebody else. Just take the message as if it's literally coming to you. It's God who is speaking directly to you as a person, right?
Stolen waters are sweet, and bread eaten in secret is pleasant.
Did you hear this? This is Proverbs chapter 9, verse 17. You know, people, we enjoy. Anyone can testify of this. We enjoy the forbidden stuff. That's why the Proverbs is saying, stolen waters are sweet, and the bread that is eaten in secret is pleasant. How is it pleasant? When you're doing those small little sinful acts in secret, they're tempting to, they want you to continue doing it. They want you to continue doing it. Because, the feeling of doing something illegal and you're almost caught, but you're not caught, exhilarates you. It fuels you to keep doing more, because the moment you say, that was a near miss, I was almost caught, you keep going on to it. You keep going on to it. You keep going on to it. That's why God says in Proverbs as well. He says, surely the net is spread in vain for a bird that is already watching. That's stupidity. So if you're a person now who is taking the wise counsel of God, it's better to correct those bad habits of what? Of being accustomed to doing the illegal stuff and enjoying them. Because he says, stolen water, is sweet, and the bread eaten in secret is pleasant. But if you continue with the verse, it says, but the end thereof are the ways of death. You hear, right?
Cast away from you all transgressions.
Cast away from you all your transgressions, right?
Whereby ye have transgressed, and make you a new heart, a new spirit. For why will ye die, O house of Israel?
Right.
For I have no pleasure in the death of him that dieth, saith the Lord God. Wherefore turn yourselves and live ye.
Did you hear this? So God is saying, for I have no pleasure in the death of him that dieth. Why dieth? Turn yourselves and live. Let's go to 3 BC 1166.3. We want to connect these two scriptures.
God's long suffering leads some to carelessness.
Right, we have been told that because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily. So what I wanted to say, right, is let me reiterate this point. You do one sinful act, because God doesn't strike you directly one time after you have done it. You think, he has spared me. All right. You do it the second time. Do you know what you're doing? The barriers are being broken down. You do it for the second time, you're like, I thought I was going to die, but I haven't. You do it the third time and the fourth time. Do you know what you've done? It says here, you've undermined the strongholds of principle. After you've undermined the strongholds of principle, which has been keeping you from doing all those things, you're now left to the buffeting of the evil one. Because you've exposed yourself to sin. You've exposed yourself to evil. You are now part of it. You are now exposed to it. From then on, going down, you can do literally anything and everything you've never imagined you can do. Do you hear? So here, we're being told that God's long suffering leads some to carelessness. Because after you have sinned, He doesn't strike directly. Some people, it actually, after God has spared them, they become even more careless, other than the first time when they were so afraid when they offended Him. Right?
Okay. In His dealings with the human race.
Right.
God bears long with the impenitent.
When God is dealing with the human race, he bears very long with the impenitent. Right?
He uses his appointed agencies to call men to allegiance and offers them his full pardon if they will repent.
He uses his appointed agencies to call men to allegiance and offers them his full pardon if they will repent. What are we saying here? You know, God has got so many avenues of communicating his light to us as a people. Sometimes he might send even someone, probably someone who's related to you, someone you know, someone you don't know, to tell you to stop doing something that you're probably doing which is offensive to God.
Yeah.
Right? Those are his appointed agencies. Why? The reason why he's telling you this is because he wants to offer you full pardon if you will repent.
Yeah.
So it's a chance that he's giving you to amend your ways. Do you hear this? It's a chance he's offering you to turn yourself away from this evil and walk in the path of righteousness. But we're being told that this long suffering of God on his part actually leads some other people to carelessness. Right?
But because God is long-suffering,
right?
Men presume on his mercy.
Now, because God is long-suffering, this is what breaks my heart. People now presume upon his mercy. Do you hear this? I'll give you an example. Do you remember? Okay, I'll start with Aaron, the high priest of the children of Israel. This man, God was telling him so many times about the sinful practices of his sons. They were very evil, they were very vile. God told him several times about him to discipline his children, so many times. Until to a point that, you know, these boys, when they were officiating in the priest, when they're doing their priestly duties, they were now so accustomed to say, you know what, whether we are drunk, whether we are not drunk, we can still offer incense anyhow. Or we can still offer, you know, the sacred fire anyhow. The common and the sacred, they were just mixing it. But there was a time, there was a day when God said, enough is enough. He killed them. Not only killed them, but he told the father not even to make a quack. Not even to make a sound, because he didn't want to hear anything from him. But for how many years were those boys officiating in the priestly office? So many years. So many years. Same applies to priest Eli. His boys, they died. And also the same day when he got told that his sons had been killed in war, and that the ark of the Lord had been taken, that's the day he died as well. He just broke off his neck and he died. So we can trace them. Even Miriam was so used to, you know, undermining Moses because he was his younger brother. Up to a point when God said, you know what, you're now thinking you are very wise. Struck him with leprosy, and the whole movement had to be stationary for time until she was cleansed. So God bears with us as a people after he has given us a warning. But know this for a fact. Nevertheless, the judgment will come. Because he will not bear with iniquity forever. There will be a time which he says a day of reckoning, when he just says, you know what, the cup is full now. I've given you this opportunity. It could be thousands of times. But probably the 999th, when you are not aware that this will be your last, that will be your last. So why perish ye, our house of Israel? He has already asked us. Why not turn ourselves away from this evil? Why are we still being given the opportunity to amend our ways? And amend them and walk in righteousness. Do you hear? Let's move on.
The patience and long-suffering of God, which should soften and subdue the soul.
Now, the patience and the long-suffering of God now, which should soften and subdue the soul, to say, you know what, when I should have died, I did not.
Yeah.
This should subdue the soul.
Yeah.
Right?
Has an altogether different influence upon the careless and sinful.
Do you hear this? this opportunity that, you know what, in that accident, hey, I should have died. What breaks my heart is it has got an altogether different influence upon the sinful and the careless. Because do you know how do you say someone is very sinful and careless? It's because the very same experience that nearly killed them, that nearly destroyed them, they're only shaken for a bit, and then after the experiences are slowly fading away from their memory, they continue doing it. They go back to the very same things that almost destroyed them. That's when you realize, you know what? Someone is very careless. Someone is very sinful. Because if you're someone who's very wise, you learn from these experiences and completely shun going through that direction. But if you're someone who hasn't got sense, who hasn't got brain, who hasn't got a mind to reason, you will go back to the same old paths which nearly destroyed you. It's like someone who goes to a harlot, spends the night with the harlot, almost contracted these modern diseases. They go to the doctor and said, like, this one was just at the beginning of the disease that were going to kill you. But fortunately, because you came earlier, I'm going to cure them because we are right at the early stages. You're like, God, you're so grateful. I'm so grateful. Thank you, Lord. Doctor, you saved my life. Then a couple of weeks later, you go back and you even do worse. That's being very sinful and very careless. Do you hear? So it's the same similar experience we have as a people. God is giving us opportunities to amend our ways. What do you do? What are you doing that God has been telling you to stop so that you walk uprightly without fear of failing, without fear of death? Walking uprightly in the sense of a man and a woman who is being led by God to righteousness. What are you doing? What is it that you do? Right, Let's move on. So the patience and the long suffering of God, which should soften and subdue the soul, has an altogether different influence upon the careless and the sinful.
In his dealings with the human race, God bears long with the impenitent.
Right.
He uses his appointed agencies to call men to allegiance and offers them his full pardon if they will repent.
No, we read that one. It's the next one here. The patience.
The patience and long suffering of God,
right,
which should soften and subdue the soul, has an altogether different influence upon the careless and the sinful.
Right.
It leads them to cast off restraint and strengthens them in resistance.
Did you hear this? Because they were supposed to have been destroyed by a certain experience, and God spared them. Instead of this to soften and subdue them, it actually leads them to cast off the restraint and strengthen them in resistance. It's it's the same thing that happened. Like, I'll give you you remember Samson. His family, his friends, his elders, the people who cared for him, told him to stay away from Delilah. They told him thousands of times. And because these people were telling him, it was actually strengthening him to continue going after Delilah. I've seen this similar experience in our day today. People are being told to stop, going through a certain forbidden area. But for the same reason that they are being told to stop going in that direction, it actually strengthens them to continue going forward boldly, defying all restraint or any admonition to stay away from those practices. That's what God is saying. That's being very careless and being very stupid. Right, where we were.
Okay.
They think
it leads, though they think that the God who has borne so much from them will not heed their perversity.
Do you hear? So at the back of their heads, these people, the reason why they keep going you know what? God has been saving me from so many things. He will still save me. Oh. If this is not meant for me, eventually it will just stop. That's what they tell themselves. Because they think that God who has bought so much for them will not heed their perversity. He will still find a way, to take them out miraculously. Just like what he's been doing in the past. Right? If
if we
Uh-huh.
lived in a dispensation of immediate retribution.
Now, look at it this way now. Let's say we were living in a dispensation of immediate retribution. As soon as you commit an offense to God, strikes you. If we lived in such a dispensation,
offenses against God would not occur so often.
Did you hear this? Offenses against God, they would not even occur so often as we witness them today.
But though delayed,
the punishment is nonetheless certain. This is what frightens me when it comes to the dealings of God with his children. We are not living in a dispensation where as soon as you sin, he strikes you, no? But he delays the punishment. But know this for a fact, it's not less certain. It will eventually come. Yeah? It will eventually come. You don't even know probably the next step you're going to take from this moment. This is why probably he's given us this message. He's warning you, he's warning me to stop from whatever we've been doing for all this past experience. How do we know that after today, probably the next step we're going to take, if we are going to commit the same evil practice, that will be our last. It might not be tomorrow, it might not be after today, but know this for a fact. The punishment is nonetheless certain. It will come. Right. Let's continue now. There are
limits even to the forbearance
There
of God.
are limits even to the forbearance of God. That's why when you read about the history of Sodom, he says their couple was full of iniquity. It had been filled to the brim. Same applies to us. There's also a limit even to the forbearance of God. The boundary.
The boundary of his long suffering may be reached. The boundary of his long suffering may be reached, and then he will surely punish. And when he does take up the case of the presumptuous sinner, he will not cease till he has made a full end.
Did you hear this? So someone now, this is what breaks my heart. God is calling a person who, when he has given warnings after warnings, to stop going through an evil course, but then the person deliberately chooses to ignore all those warnings and continues walking or treading in the path of iniquity. He's calling that person a presumptuous sinner. Because you're presuming upon his mercy. You're presuming upon his grace. Because he keeps shielding and protecting you. And for that reason, you continue being boldened in transgression. But know this for a fact. When he comes or when he descends upon your case, he will not stop until he makes a full end. Yeah?
No one.
Let's go back to 2SC1, page 3.8. That's the one we're reading now.
No one can successfully be prompted to a higher position.
No, it's promoted, so it comes.
No one can be successfully promoted to a higher position until he proves true and proficient in a lower place.
Right?
Says the Apostle Paul, whether therefore ye eat or drink or whatsoever ye do all to the glory of God. That is, no one can in a haphazard manner do the necessary
things of life,
and yet stand innocent before the Lord.
Do you hear this? I want you to listen to this. It says, no one can in a haphazard manner do the necessary things of life. You know, some people, they're very careless with their lives. Very haphazard, very careless in their lives. And yet, they think they will stand innocent before the Lord. No. You know, some people's lives, they're all filled with mistakes. Yes, we appreciate them if you've learned from your mistakes. Yes, we turn those, to being instruments for greater good. But if your life is filled with mistakes, and all you do is mistakes after mistakes after mistakes, despite God telling you numerous and thousands of times to walk in the right way, you will not stand innocent before God. Because your influence has been boldening and strengthening the people who were looking up to you, seeking for, for guidance when it comes to the actual path of life to travel on. Right? His command.
His command is, be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect.
Do you hear this? Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which in heaven is perfect. Right?
God is a being of infinite love and compassion. But he also declares himself to be a consuming fire, even a jealous God.
Yeah, did you hear? Is a being of infinite love and compassion. But don't provoke him to come and consume you, because he's also a fire and even a jealous God. He can do it. Right?
What fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness?
What fellowship is righteousness and unrighteousness? Why do we try to mix the two? Worship God at the same time, and also at the same time we're committing very sinful and debased practices. What concord is between the two? Righteousness. How can you be so divided? Where is the unity? Where is the unity coming from?
And what communion hath light with darkness? And what concord hath Christ with Belial?
What concord hath Christ with Belial? Right? Let's go to PK 82.2.
Not only to the youth, but to those of mature years, and to those who are descending the hill of life and facing the western sun. The life of Solomon is a full warning.
Right?
We see and hear of unsteadiness in youth, the young wavering between right and wrong, and the current of evil passions proving too strong for them.
Right. I want to say this. I've been growing. This is my own personal experience. In my few years of existence upon this earth, there are people, who are mature in years, who I used to look up to, thinking, these people, they've got it all together. Not got it all together per se, but they've got some form of direction when it comes to the path of life. You get it? Right. But we're being told this. Not only to the youth, but even to those of mature years. The life of Solomon is full of warning. Why do we say this? It's because we see and hear the unsteadiness in the youth, the young wavering between right and wrong, and the current of evil passions proving too strong for them. Right? So you only think when you're growing up, it's only you who's facing all these difficulties. We see the youth struggling. Who should I marry? Should I marry this one? No, I shouldn't. Should I marry this one? No, I shouldn't. Is this girl good for me? We see the youth struggling. Right? Go on. In those
of mature years, we do not look for this unsteadiness and unfaithfulness.
Right, listen to this. In those of mature years now, we do not expect them, like, if you are a T4C, you are not even expected to be making the same mistakes when you would do when you were a teenager or when you were in your 20s. Do you hear this? We don't expect the mistakes that teenagers are making to be made by people who have advanced in years. I want you to see where stupidity comes in. Because if you are still committing the same mistakes that someone who is a teenager will be making, then you need to sit down and reevaluate your life, because honestly, you're moving in the wrong direction. You need to sit down and reevaluate your spiritual life, because the path you are treading on is a very, very, very dangerous path. And what breaks my heart is you don't even know it. Because when restraint comes to you, you defy and you close and resist against all restraint. So God has no more any other avenues to speak to your soul. Do you hear this? Right? In those of mature years.
We do not look for this unsteadiness and unfaithfulness. We expect the character to be established.
Listen, this is an expectation from God. When you've advanced in years, for you to gain that respect of people with gray hairs, the character has to be established. Yeah? The principles.
We expect the character to be established.
Right?
The principles firmly rooted. But this is not always so.
With the elderly, with people who have advanced in years. You know, respect is earned. Do you know this, brethren? I'm sorry to say this, but I'll say it. Respect is earned because God has got an expectation He has towards the people of gray hairs and also those who are younger, how they should yield their respect to those of mature years, to those of who have advanced in years. Because when you're older, you've experienced so many things in life. So your character is expected to be firmly rooted and established. But how would you be respected if you are opposite to this? If you're still engaging in sinful practices, you know, it's the same as someone who has got gray hairs, but they're still competing with those who are in their teenage years. People, anyone who knows will surely say, will say, what is this guy doing? Is it like a midlife crisis or anything? That's what people call it nowadays. But what God is basically telling you and me is, we need to amend our ways. Do you hear?
But this is not always so. When Solomon should have been in character as a sturdy oak, he fell from his steadfastness under the power of temptation. When his strength should have been the firmest, he was found to be the weakest.
Right?
Next paragraph.
Next paragraph.
Till the conflict is ended, there will be those who will depart from God.
Do you hear this? This is what, you know, what breaks my heart, because we've been told that the people of God who are proclaiming His message at this particular time, present time, they're very careless and they seem to be so stupefied, right? They are also deeply asleep. So, while God continues to shower messages of warning and reproof, if they continue to burden themselves in resistance against the pleadings of His Spirit, what will happen? There will be those who will depart from God.
Yeah.
Do you hear?
Satan will so shape circumstances.
So Satan will so shape the circumstances
that unless we are kept by divine
Unless
power,
we are kept by the divine power,
they will almost imperceptibly
weaken the fortifications of the soul.
We need to inquire at every step.
Is this the way of the Lord? Do you hear this, brethren? At each and every step of life, is this the way of the Lord? If spiritual leaders are coming to speak to you, to guide you, to show, to tell you, you know what, this is not the right path. This is not the right path. Why should you walk in this road? This road is wrong. That's when you need to sit down and evaluate your course of action. Is this the way of the Lord? Should be our guiding principle, should be our compass to show us the path of righteousness. Do you hear this, brethren? So we can go on and on and on and on, and we can never say enough. But one thing for sure that I do know is, have you seen, from what we have said so far, from when we started up to this particular time, have you seen the process of backsliding? It starts in apparently very small things. Very small things. Some things you might even call insignificant. But God is very closely following on our course, because He wants us to be perfect. He wants us to be guided by His Spirit and to improve from all these opportunities and experiences before it descends on us like a consuming fire. So it's up to you, brethren. It's up to you. Decide whatever you want to do, but know this for a fact. God has given us this message to tell us that you and me, we need to amend our ways. Sit down and evaluate. What is it that guides you? Is it the words of God, or it's something that only comes from you alone, that prompts you to continue moving in a course of action that is contrary to God's way of dealing? So choose here this day whom you will serve. I wish you all the remaining hours of the Sabbath. May they be pleasant and may you be blessed. May God bless the reading of His word and have a blessed Sabbath day.